What's up, YouTube family? This is your man Pristine back with another video. So welcome to the Asus Zenfone 5 / the camera video. Now, rarely do I ever get in front of the camera for the introductory for the camera videos that I do for these phones, with the exception of the front-facing camera footage that I normally collect when I'm testing the cameras on these devices. But I felt compelled to get in front of the camera and give you guys, some information and some of my thoughts and opinions on this particular camera. Now, before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to my great-grandmother, Alice Clark, who is still alive to this day at the precious age of 102. What a blessing that is, and I hope that I have that type of longevity in my life. But she always taught me that no matter what you have to say to someone, even if it's something that you know that they're not going to like, there's always a respectful and a tactful way to do it. And I live by that. I live by that. Okay? Now, right now, I'm going to go just a little bit against the grain because I think that what I've experienced is completely uncalled for. And I'm very frustrated and just flat out angry, to be honest with you. So the Asus Zenfone 5 camera, I'm just going to come out and say this camera is trash. Okay. Now I know a lot of reviewers, they beat around the bush. They say little subtle things here gingerly because they're concerned about, relationships that they may possibly have with the OEM or whatever. Hey, I look at it like this, man. Business is business. If you want to do business with me, cool. If not, I ain't losing no sleep. You know what I mean? And I'm definitely not going to sit there and sugarcoat, what I really feel, because I'm concerned about trying to establish a relationship. Now, I'm not trying to burn no bridges, but I'm not going to allow the bridges that could possibly be burned keep me from keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of other YouTubers need to be cut from that type of cloth as well. You know what I mean? So, but that's them. This is me. You know what I'm saying? If somebody asks you, tell them Pristine said. All right, here's why I'm saying what I'm saying. One, I'm a huge fan of Asus and their products. I think that they make some really, really, really good smartphones. I think they make some great smartphones with some excellent cameras. And I think that they are hugely underrated. I think that when you talk about some of the best cameras in the game, I feel like Asus should be a part of that conversation. And it's kind of strange that they're not. But for whatever reason, they don't seem to get the recognition that a lot of these other companies that have good products and good cameras tend to have. And I have a problem with that. But what can I do about it aside from feature their products on the channel and show you guys how good their products are, show you guys how good their cameras are. Now, every Asus product that I've had featured on this channel was great. The experience was great. The hardware, software was solid, and they had all of them, they had excellent cameras. The cameras far exceeded, in my mind, what I thought they were going to be. Meaning, Asus being, they don't really have that huge of a presence in the mobile space. You know what I mean? They're more so known for like their laptops and motherboards and computer chips and other things like that. When you're talking about those kind of things, then yeah, they're at the top of the heap. You know what I mean? They're the cream of the crop. But I mean, when you're talking about mobile phones, cell phones, Asus, I mean, they take up a small fraction, a very, very tiny percentage of the mobile phone market. Very tiny percentage, right? So here's why I'm mad. Because the Asus Zenfone 5, which was the first Android device that was unveiled back in February at Mobile World Congress, that was unveiled with the notch. And it was so controversial. They got a lot of recognition, some good, some bad. There were people, oh man, they're copying iPhone, and we got the iPhone replica, and it's an Android, and who is it? It's the Asus Zenfone 5 and the 5Z. And when I saw that, I got so pumped, so excited, so ecstatic, y'all. I could not wait for this device to come out. Here's my problem. I think that Asus was more so geared towards putting out the first, or unveiling the first Android phone to come out with the notch, that they just completely forgot about a lot of other things that make a good phone a good phone. One of those things being the camera. The camera oftentimes will be, the determining factor as to whether or not someone will choose or choose not to buy a device. A lot of the Asus phones that I featured on my channel, aside from the good hardware, good software, killer battery life, and also good cameras, I would tell people, look, check out these phones. You will be highly impressed. And based off a lot of the footage that I've shown, and just footage and just things that I've shown these phones to people on a personal level, they were amazed. And so why would I think for 1 second that the Asus Zenfone 5 would give me just a completely opposite experience? Well, here we are, Asus Zenfone 5. Since I cracked it out of the box, ladies and gentlemen, I have had nothing. Yeah, I've had nothing but problems with this phone. Now, stay tuned for the full pristine review, because a lot of the issues that I had with the device, I'll get more specific in the full pristine review. But now I'm talking about the camera. Never have I ever experienced a camera that was so problematic. You talk about the Essential phone being problematic, which for one, I never had any of those issues anyway, but leave it to the experts. You know what I'm saying? The reviewers that got millions and millions of subscribers, you know what I'm saying, that I got all kind of relationships with OEMs and, you know, sponsorship and all that. I mean, you know, those guys, they would tell you that the Essential phone camera was absolutely atrocious. I disagree. The camera on the Asus Zenfone 5 is absolutely atrocious. And here's why. For one, you can't launch the camera. You cannot launch the primary camera. For whatever reason, when you're recording, you cannot launch the primary camera. You can record with the secondary wide-angle lens, which the resolution isn't as good as the 12-megapixel primary sensor, but nonetheless, you still do have the option to record with the wide-angle camera, which is 8 megapixels, which it looks decent, but I'd much rather prefer to record with the 12-megapixel sensor. Why? Because it's the primary sensor. For whatever reason, it won't open. Every time I hit the camera app to open up, it keeps telling me error. So something is going on, right? A lot of still shots that I've taken have been average at best. The results were very blurry. Colors were washed out. Color reproduction was not on point. They were not true to life. Images were not sharp. They were very dull and just kind of grainy. You know, had a lot of noise. I mean, the still shot photos just turned out just bad. Now, another one of the reasons why I wanted to give you guys this information is because in the video that I'm going to roll, you're going to see, as I'm recording with the front-facing camera, you're going to see me say things like, oh, this camera's good, colors are nice and sharp, you know, color reproduction is nice and clear. When I test these cameras, I always do the video recording first before I start taking still shots. So when I recorded that video, I was talking specifically about the recording and how it looks while you're recording. And that was with the front-facing camera. Okay, so I don't want you guys to get it confused, because here I am saying what I'm saying, but then when I roll the tape, you guys are going to hear me saying stuff like, oh, well, the camera, you know, it's nice and clear, colors are, you know, nice and punchy as they ought to be, true to life, all that kind of thing. Mind you, I was specifically talking about the front-facing camera and how things looked as I was recording in that moment, which was one of the first times that I had launched the camera. So when I said that, I had no idea how bad the still shot images were going to be. Okay, so I'm getting ready to roll this footage, and I want you guys to let me know down in the comments what you think of this camera. And here's another trippy thing about this camera. It was given a 93 by DxOMark. A 93. Ladies and gentlemen, that is up there with the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL. That is up there with the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and the iPhone X. That is up there with some of the latest Samsung devices. You're talking about a very, very, very high score with the camera. Now, I question, because in my personal usage with this camera, it's not even in the conversation with those phones. So I'm scratching my head, you know, how did this phone get a DxO mark of 93? How did that happen? Either my unit is defective or Asus and DxOMark got a little relationship where there's some money being exchanged underneath the table to get that rating. Because of my personal opinion, there is no way in hell that this camera gets a DxOMark score of a 93. My personal opinion, between 65 and 70 at best. Alright? I'm about to roll this tape. You guys let me know what you think. Hey, cuz, roll the tape. What's going on, y'all? It's your man Pristine back with another video. So this is the front-facing 8 megapixel selfie cam on the Asus Zenfone 5. Now, this camera, it's pretty solid. You know what I mean? I mean, true to life color reproduction. Everything is nice and clear. Images are sharp as they ought to be. And the lenses are optical image stabilized. I mean, so when you're moving around, even if you got a little bit of a shaky hand, it's not really going to matter much, because we have optical image stabilization and we also have electronic image stabilization as well. We do have 4K recording. We've got a whole slew of different presets and things that you can customize to get that shot that you want. Bokeh effect, beauty mode, pro mode, you know, all that kind of thing. I mean, so pretty much anything that you want and need in this particular camera is there. Now, it's interesting because I've watched a lot of reviews on this camera, and a lot of the reviews seem to be mixed. I mean, some people seem to really be having some not so good experiences with this particular camera. I can't say that that's been the case for myself. Now, I have taken some photos where things have appeared to be a little bit overexposed, you know what I mean? But I feel like, you know, that's well, I don't want to say that's with any camera, but I mean, even some of the best, the best cameras in the game, you know what I'm saying? I mean, produce an image or two or three, you know what I mean, where things aren't quite what they really are in real life, you know what I mean? But I think the closest thing that you can get to that is probably the Google Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL. And I know that this particular camera got rated a DxO mark of a 93, which is right up there with the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL. So, you know, the images that you guys see here, you know, you guys be the judge. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not a professional when it comes to photography. All I know is what looks good to the naked eye. You know what I mean? And I gotta say, man, I mean, you know, the camera here is solid. I mean, it looks really good. Does it live up to the DxO mark? You guys be the judge. Any questions or comments regarding this particular front-facing camera? Hit me down below, and I'll get back with you. All right. Peace. All right, y'all. So this is your man Pristine, and so here is the rear-facing camera, and I'm a little frustrated because since I've had this phone, I feel like it has been one thing after the other. Now, there's a dual camera setup on the rear. We've got a 12 megapixel sensor, which is the primary, and then we have this, which is the 8 megapixel wide angle lens. Now, as I'm trying to put this video footage together for you guys, for whatever reason, the 12 megapixel primary camera will not record. Every time I hit record under the primary camera, it tells me there's an error and it cannot record. And so I'm recording now with the 8 megapixel wide angle lens. And interestingly enough, a lot of people feel as though the weakest link to this particular camera system on the rear is this 8 megapixel wide angle lens. Now, from what I can see in the viewfinder, I mean, things look really nice and crystal clear and sharp. Not as detailed as the 12 megapixel sensor, obviously, considering that is the primary camera. And I'll give it another go again, before I just completely give up on it. But definitely stay tuned for the full review, because I've got some gripes about this particular device, and I'm definitely going to share those things, in the Pristine review. So definitely stay tuned for that. Now, as I mentioned, I mean, both the camera lenses are optical image stabilized, and so as I'm walking around in my backyard here, you can see, the ground. I mean, it's not really all that level. There's some little potholes and things, you know what I mean? And so, just due to the fact that I'm not really walking on level ground, I mean, the camera's going to be a little bit shaky, but I mean, the footage still should appear to be nice and smooth due to that optical image stabilization. Now, one thing that does suck with this camera is I've noticed that you are not able to switch from the primary sensor to the secondary wide angle lens on the fly while you are recording. And so you can record in either the primary or the wide angle sensor, but you just have to choose which sensor you want to record with before you actually start recording. I can't say that I'm really a big fan of that. I feel like, LG, they really hit it out of the park. They hit the nail on the head when it comes to the wide angle sensor, because I feel like it produces better quality images, but also, I mean, you have the ability to switch the cameras on the fly, whether you're taking still shots or you're recording. You know what I mean? So, but nonetheless, I mean, the camera system, if you can get it to work, I think, in my opinion, is really good, especially considering the price point. I mean, this is being considered a mid-range device, even though, it does have a lot of flagship qualities about it. But yeah, again, and we've got a dual camera system. I mean, optical image stabilization. We have 4K recording. We have a bunch of different options and things that we can tweak. Different filters and things, beautification mode, pro mode, all those kind of things. Anything that you would expect out of a high-end camera, you can find here on the camera on the Asus Zenfone 5. So let me know what you guys think about the video footage and the quality here with the 8 megapixel wide angle sensor. Again, I'll turn the phone off, turn it back on, and see if that does something. But I've already had the factory data reset this phone twice because of issues that I was having with it. And the way it seems at this point, I don't think that I'm going to be keeping this device. But stay tuned for the full Pristine review, and I'll go over those things a little bit more in detail, just so that you guys are informed, so that if this is something that you're looking to get into, then you have an idea of something that you may potentially have to experience. You know what I mean? I hope not, but it's a possibility. All right, so let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. All right, peace. All right, y'all, what's going on? All right, so here is the primary 12 megapixel sensor, and I'm in my house, and I'm not sure if the reason why it wouldn't record outside while I was in my backyard was simply because this phone does have AI technology, and my understanding is that it's supposed to be able to recognize like 16 different scenes and adjust the color settings to give you the best picture or video quality possible. And I don't know if maybe it was struggling with that as to why it wouldn't really allow me to record, but here I am, I'm in my house, and now it's allowing me to record. So I'm just gonna walk through and, go outside. You guys can see my little setup right here, man. When I tell you that I'm not a professional with this thing, I mean, as far as like equipment and everything, man, I got a little kitty table right there with my computer, my tripod, lamps, and man, this is where the magic happens, man. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing this like basement style. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let me go on out. Hey babies, you wanna say hi?
Yeah.
Say what's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stroll on outside to his house. So again, as I mentioned, primary sensor is a 12 megapixel lens. We do have optical image stabilization on the lens. As I walk down my ramp here, like I said, I'm just in front of my house here. Nice, beautiful day here in Seattle, Washington. You know, a little gray gloominess going on, still warm, not too cold, not too warm, perfect temperatures. Feels good out here. You know what I mean? Now, I would feel even better if this particular device that I'm holding before you guys would act accordingly. I've had some serious issues with this phone, man, and again, I don't think that I'm going to be keeping it. So again, stay tuned for the pristine review, and I'll talk a little bit more about those things right here. But it is good the fact that we've got optical image stabilization on the sensor here. As I mentioned, this is a 12 megapixel primary sensor. You guys saw the video footage on the 8 megapixel lens, which is the wide angle secondary lens for this particular camera system. Now, a lot of people feel as though that is the weakest link of this particular camera system. I've seen some footage on it. A lot of people feel as though, you know, just color reproduction and sharpness drops with the images with the wide angle lens. I didn't really see much of that. You know what I mean? Now, that's not to say that if you go with this particular device that you won't experience that, but I'm just saying, me personally, I haven't experienced that. All right. So just something for you guys to be mindful of. But nonetheless, I mean, from what I can tell, I mean, the camera takes some really stunning photos, and images are crystal clear. Color reproduction is on point. You know, the pictures, you know, sometimes they're a bit overexposed, but they're still really clean and sharp looking. Now, do these cameras live up to the DxO mark that it was given? Because they're comparing this camera to the Pixel and the Pixel 2, the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL. You know, I'll let you guys be the judge of that, man. You know what I mean? You know, I'll link all the images and things that I've captured, you know, wide angle footage, you know, regular still shots. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. You know, is it a good looking camera? In my personal opinion, yes. But again, I'm no professional. I mean, so I don't get all technical, you know, with the camera. And, you know, if it looks good, it looks good, you know, to me with the naked eye, you know. So let me know what you guys think about the rear-facing primary sensor now that I was finally able to get this damn thing to start recording. I don't know what's going on with this camera, y'all, but it's got some issues. All right. So let me know what you think down below in the comments, man. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay tuned for the pristine review. Peace. All right, y'all, this your man Pristine. So can the Asus Zenfone 5, can it take some good photos? Yes, it can, but it is solely depending on the lighting and the overall conditions. I mean, there were some photos that I took that looked pretty decent, but most of the photos that I took with this camera was suspect, and they were average at best. That's the issue that I have with this particular camera. And so I think that this, you know, Asus, they're going to need to pull in Essential, and they're going to need to push forward a bunch of updates in order for this camera to reach the potential that I think that I think it may have. But for now, a DxO mark of 93, this camera is nowhere in that particular conversation, man. So let me know what you guys think about what you saw in this video down below in the comments, all right? Thank you guys for tuning in. Didn't mean to take too much of your time, but I wanted to get this information out there to you. And so, yeah. If you like this video, you already know, smash that thumbs up button. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to expose yourself to tons of videos that I've done like this one. And stay tuned, because I've got so much more content to come, man. These kids be killing me, man. Alright, be sure to hit that notification bell so that whenever I upload, you can be the first to view the content and drop any feedback or questions, concerns of anything that you may have. And keep it locked here at Pristine Mobile Tech. I'll catch you guys in the next video, man. You already know. Stay safe. Get spiritually fit, because we're definitely living in the last days. And keep it pristine in all that you do. I'm out. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Night-night. Say peace. Peace.
Say peace.